Alright guys, so this is sock opera.
Wait a minute, this isn't right.
There we go, that's better. Well, I don't think I ever actually said this in any of the previous vlogs, but from the first time I started watching Season 2, and I saw that Bill Cipher was still in the intro, I saw that as basically just confirmation that we were going to see him again at some point, and yep, I was right. It's a lot earlier in the season than I was expecting, but he is back, and I actually think I preferred him in this one. He seemed more kind of threatening and more sort of formidable, more kind of a Discord type sort of nature to him in that he can really just do just about anything. You know, you didn't see very much of that from him in his first appearance. With him being able to just rip someone's soul out of a body like that and possess it for as long as necessary. You know, it's a very sort of frightening kind of prospect there, and I don't think we've seen the last of him there. I think he's going to come back and he's going to have to be defeated in some kind of way, because he does seem sort of like kind of undefeatable almost. This was kind of a little bit of sort of fun, sort of with Bill Cipher here, of him like just sort of being there as a kind of mild kind of threat, but he didn't go sort of full out, fate of the world kind of thing like he did at the end of the first season. But yeah, I think I actually preferred him here, because he seemed sort of more like what he was doing was more sort of threatening, as opposed to just throwing them in somewhere like he did in his first appearance, and that being the kind of sort of threatening thing. But yeah, it's kind of a weird kind of sort of tying together of sort of fate of Gravity Falls kind of idea with Bill Cipher, with more of a kind of just slice of life kind of element here, with Mabel having a crush on yet another guy. That's kind of one thing actually I've not liked about the plots of this episode, of this series rather. There's a lot of kind of romance stuff going on. I mean, you've got the whole thing with Dipper and Wendy, but you've also got Mabel with other guys all the time, and here we've got another guy again, and this guy doesn't even sort of seem like a particularly sort of fanciful kind of person, really. He seems like kind of a doofus, really, performing puppet shows the whole time, wearing the puppets on his hands the whole time, and talking to them as if they actually exist. Yeah, obviously that's the idea, but I just sort of don't really understand exactly what it is that Mabel sees in the guy, even from the very start. She just sees him performing a puppet show, and she's just like, wow, well, I want to be with him. With Mamando, it at least made a little bit more sense, in that he was just a sort of good-looking kind of guy, and he was sort of there on his own, sort of available. And I could kind of see why Mabel would see something in him, but this guy was just sort of performing a puppet show, which it doesn't seem a very sort of fanciful kind of thing to do. So, no, I don't really understand what Mabel saw in that. Sort of an interesting kind of idea you see here once again, of sort of what you want to do and maybe what you feel like you should be doing, in terms of, being a loyal sibling. Really sort of like this sort of theme that the show has of the loyalties that Dipper and Mabel have to one another. And, Dipper's made these sacrifices in the past, as Bill Cipher obviously points out. Mabel hasn't so much, but you kind of know sort of deep down that in the heat of the moment, if she was made to sort of try and do that, to make that decision, she would do what was right, and do what she wanted to do for Dipper. And obviously we saw that at the end of this episode. That was very nice to see. And I have noticed, actually, I've commented this on in previous vlogs, much less comedy actually this season. There's a few laughs here and there. There's definitely a couple of really good jokes in here, but definitely not as many as I remember there being in Season 1. I'm definitely not sort of laughing as much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love the show and everything. It's just not quite as many laughs this time. But one particular good line I did like was Mabel's line, "You're like a vampire and not the hot kind," which is quite obviously a reference to Twilight. So, yeah, a kind of sort of subtle hint that Mabel is a Twilight fan. She does sort of seem like the type. And Candy's face, quite obviously David Bowie sort of parodying when they perform the sock puppet show. Zeus and Wendy, and to some extent Stan, are all kind of wasted in this episode. They're just sort of there, dropping the odd line here and there. They're very creepy, the design for the Bill Dipper, or Bipper as Mabel calls him. That did seem very sort of creepy, especially when he turns his head in the car. How can you defeat me when you don't exist? The way he turns his head, that was really kind of creepy, I thought. And also the head, the way he, in Dipper's dream, when he sort of rips the skin off him, that's very sort of graphic for the Disney Channel, actually. Well, this is Disney XD, whatever. But yeah, for Disney, that's very sort of graphic. I'm surprised they got away with that. No blood, I guess. I think sort of what else? Obviously, kind of advancing the main story arc here with the laptop. Obviously, that they're able to boot it up now, but now it needs a password which has 8 letters. Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of speculation amongst the fandom now about what that password's going to be, and maybe somebody out there in Gravity Falls knows it. One thing I'm already noticing is that the rumours about Old Man McGucket being the author. And I definitely thought, even before Season 2 started, that there was something more to Old Man McGucket, because he's just this kind of background character who's not really added anything to any of the stories so far. He's just sort of there, adding a bit of comedy. But he's voiced by the creator, Alex Hirsch. So I think there has to be a reason for that. There has to be a very good reason why the creator would choose to voice him. I think there is more to that character than we may have originally thought. And I think somebody already pointed out that McGucket has 8 letters, so maybe that is the password. But now you're sort of wondering, well, does it even matter anymore? Because the laptop's been destroyed. So, no, I don't think that's the end of it. I think they're going to either find some way to fix the laptop, or they're going to find out what was on it in some kind of way. Because I can't believe they would have set up that laptop only to have it be destroyed before they could even get into it and find out what was on it. So, yeah, I don't think we've heard the last of the laptop. I'm trying to think what else there was really to talk about. Sock Puppet Show was kind of fun. It was kind of interesting, sort of seeing this kind of idea of being in the spirit world and being the only way to communicate with Mabel is to be a sock puppet. And being able to perform the Sock Puppet Show even though you sort of don't physically exist in the world, and people sort of being none the wiser. Very sort of aware of the cliche, probably popularised by the producers, actually, of it being a terrible play and everything, and terrible things going horribly wrong, but the audience loving it because they think, it's a parody or a satire or something. They just assume it's part of the act and everything. But I like the way that they sort of turn that on its head here, and they give the sort of reaction that people in real life probably would give, just like, it's terrible, honestly, boo. So yeah, lot of sort of little kind of funny moments, not any kind of sort of falling out of my chair, hilarious kind of stuff. There hasn't really been anything like that this season, so that's kind of disappointing. But they're just not focusing on the comedy as much this season, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a sort of baby step in terms of the overall story arc. Maybe sort of focusing more on Mabel's loyalty to Dipper a little bit, which maybe hasn't been given as much focus up until this point, so that's kind of nice. I didn't particularly care for the whole sock puppet thing. I thought that was a bit daft and a bit silly and everything. If it was meant for comedy, then, well, it didn't really work for me at all. A couple of interesting sort of Stan lines there. Once again, as we saw in Fight Fighters, Stan likes seeing children fight. Interesting kind of window into his character there. Grandeur and Candy also kind of wasted it. Again, they're just sort of there. Everything. This was very sort of heavy on the whole Dipper Mabel thing, and it was very much about their relationship, and that was still nice. So yeah, there was a lot of sort of nice stuff here. A little bit of development with the laptop and everything. You're not quite sure where it's going to go. But Bill Cipher absolutely made this episode for me, I thought. So yeah, this was good. A lot of sort of really good things about it, actually, I thought. Just maybe could have had a bit more comedy, I think. This seemed like a good suit for a heavy sort of comedy-oriented episode, and it didn't really have enough laughs in it for me to properly absolutely love it. But yeah, it was a good, solid episode, and I'm interested to see now where they can go with this laptop. Okay, one last thing, guys. I meant to mention before, but I forgot. I don't know if you guys are aware of Cinema Sins, very popular channel on YouTube that just point out problems with movies in a kind of a satirical kind of way. There's a My Little Pony version of it called Little Shy FAM. But there's also a guy now who is doing this basically for Gravity Falls episodes, and he's called Strum Freak, and I will put an annotation link there to his channel. He's only done 2 episodes so far, but he is planning more, I know that for a fact, and if everything goes to plan, I may actually be in one of his upcoming videos, so keep your eyes open for that, and go and check out the videos he already has, actually, because they're pretty damn awesome. And he has a good voice as well. So anyway, yeah, that's that, guys. Go and subscribe to Strum Freak, and I will see you soon.